20 minutes away from 9.
A little something for the weekend with Sam Hunt.
A little something for our weekend indeed. Sam Hunt joining us this morning. Morning, Sam.
Good day, Wammo, and nice to know that's Don McGlashan in the background there,
Isn't it?
Not the kokako. I'm sure Don would do a very fine kokako. But it is a kokako, that bird, is it?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Well, that's the first bird name that springs to mind when I hear that sound. So.
Well, that brings me, segues me into putting a word out.
Yeah.
To the people listening at Kiwi FM, to get on if they've got one of these web, computer things, go to forestandbird.org.nz poll, and there's a voting. It starts on Monday, and I'm the campaign. I've been appointed the campaign manager for the pied stilt.
Oh.
The poaka, which
yes.
I love because I've nominated that as my favourite bird.
Yeah.
Kiwi to Kanawa, she's got the kiraroo, the native wood pigeon. She's got heaps of votes. The old people like the wood pigeon do really well. Who else is there? Kim Hill. I think Kim Hill's got the. I think she's got the. She's the campaign manager for the for the. I think the fantail or one of those small birds.
Yeah.
But the poor old pied stilt needs a few votes. So look, I'm campaigning here.
Is it just not so popular? People are unaware of it.
People don't know about it.
Huh.
Because as I said in my blurb or blog about it, because each person's done a blog about their bird as to why they've chosen them.
Yeah.
I really like Jeremy Wells' one. He comes on and he says, the Royal Spoonbill, which is his bird, he said, the Royal Spoonbill, you've got to vote for the Royal Spoonbill. For a start, it's the only bird that's got 2 O's in it. and he said, and and spoon's a really interesting word.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I'd never even heard of that bird, I don't think.
Well, the Royal Spoonbill, often confused with the white heron until you see them feeding, because it's got the spoonbill, so rather than pecking,
yeah,
it swings its head from side to side.
Oh, kind of scoops.
And sweeps across. That's how it gets its feeds. Oh. They're all beautiful birds. Yeah. I mean, it's just that. But in my case with the pied stilt, I love the pied stilt. They're apart from being such a beautiful bird, but that's true of probably all birds. But I love the way they don't give a damn. I mean, any idea of sort of having a big secure nest is completely foreign to them. They just sort of scrape a bit of a scrape in the stones and put a few twigs there, and that's home.
Yeah.
As long as the nest is safe. And the other thing, which is great, when you go into their territory, which is always by nature, because that's why they're there, sort of lonely territory. And I love that line in that Baxter poem, where he talks about their cry that is like a creaking door. And it's like you're going from one territory into another. And so I don't know, but we're not getting the votes. And
let's mobilise the audience.
So it's www, and it's all one word, forestandbird.org.nz, then a / then poll.
Yeah.
And then you get all the birds, and you see how many they've got voting. And the other one which amuses me is my son Tom, my older son.
Yeah.
He's been asked, because his middle name is Kahu, as in the hawk. I've got a line in a poem which I wrote to his mother years ago. It's got a line about we gave our child Kahu for a second name in honour of that hawk. So Tom's been given the hawk, and he's also not getting too many votes. So the Hunt boys are lagging slightly here, Wammo.
Yeah. So people can go along to forestandbird.org.nz. Aren't these birds in your playground almost, your backyard?
They are my neighbours.
Yeah.
Who is your neighbour? Well, in my case, it's because we're up in the treetops, and the stilts, of course, are down on the inlet and on the paddocks that go down to the water. And it's just beautiful. Actually, just before you rang this morning, there was a big feeding frenzy just out in the water here. Just fish and birds just going for it. Really good.
I'm about to vote right now. There's a whole bunch of the kia, takaes, bellbirds, penguins.
That's right.
The grey warbler.
Yeah, the grey warbler. I think the grey warbler won last year. it got a big sentimental vote.
Isn't this funny voting for birds? Because they do it with plants as well. The best native plant.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the young woman who's organised this at the Forest and Bird, it's the sort of thing I normally steer 100 miles clear of. Anything sort of to do with telethons or good acts generally don't turn me on.
But that spoonbill is a funny looking bird.
The spoonbill.
It's got a bit of a haircut.
That's the one.
A hairdo, yeah.
He's good, old Royal Spoonbill. I like the fact that the spoon's an interesting word. I thought it was great.
Oh, the Moorpork's in there. They're Moorporks.
How's the Moorpork doing for votes?
189
See,
votes.
I've only got 13, and I think most of them are mine.
We're going to sort this out once I'm scrolling down. I'm scrolling down to find it.
Quite near the bottom is the pied stilt, and it'll say Campaign Manager Sam Hunt. So it says vote, and you just click on the vote.
Yeah.
So I'm going around the electorates. I see what I did a couple of days ago, Wammo. I was in Auckland and I had some recording I had to do. It was on Wednesday. So I got the recording out of the way. And
I'm voting out. Voted. 14 votes.
14!
Thanks for voting, it says.
Oh, good on you.
People
So
should
you
go
voted.
now. forestandbird.org.nz. Vote.
Look at that. Look, I can feel the the pied stilt are just feeling that much better about that.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
Just saying that on Wednesday when I was down in Auckland, after I'd done what I'd gone to do, had been invited out to meet the cast of the upcoming production of the History Boys.
Oh, no.
The play by Alan Bennett.
Oh, yes.
Have you seen the film? There's a film of it, apparently.
No, I haven't, no.
I know some of Alan Bennett's writing. I love it. I mean, that short story of his called The Uncommon Reader, which is where Norman works in Buckingham Palace, and he turns the Queen onto books. It's a very, very good story. That's by Alan Bennett. That's a brilliant story. The Uncommon Reader. It's such a good story, that one. But this is a play which I've not seen or read, so I'm a little bit ignorant. But it's coming on at the Maidment Theatre in October.
Yeah.
And the actors in it were the older ones, George Henare and Annie Whittle and Bruce Phillips. But very good. And so I went along to this funny little scout hall out somewhere in Mount Albert. And
my hood.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, this was a scout hall, a green scout hall, and that's where they rehearse. I presume that's one of their places. And so I was just there for 90 minutes to sort of basically, because it's about the play, The History Boys, involves an old, sort of slightly eccentric poetry teacher teaching these young men, because a lot of young men in this play, because I think there must be about 12 of them, and I'm very keen to see it. I'm going to go along to it. And so I was there just to basically enthuse, just completely from a personal point of view, about the poets that are talked about, and just poetry in general.
Yeah.
The whole raise that whole thing of can you teach poetry?
Well, can you?
No, I've been reading, just checking a few different people again on the Google machine.
Yeah.
There's a Scottish poet I love very much. His name's Norman McCaig. And I happened to be looking just a couple of days ago on him, and he was talking on that subject, and he was of the opinion he had some position in his later life, was given a position of sort of professor of poetry or a chair of poetry at some Scottish university. And but he said on his acceptance, he said he didn't believe that poetry could be taught, but by exposing people to it. Is probably and I couldn't agree more. You know?
Yeah, and I think that's this feature on the show with you, Sam, every week. I think that it fulfills that in some way as well.
Yeah, well, it's certainly the living poem.
Yeah, Yeah.
Well, speaking of the living poem, before I get out of your way,
yes.
So they had the music awards last night.
The Silver Scrolls last night.
Oh, I wonder why I've never been invited to any of those.
Nor have I. No.
No.
You and me the same.
But David and I and the Heavy Eights, we did that album. I guess it wouldn't have been nominated.
Well, because you're the songwriter, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're planning a live one too, where I work with the band, and which we've been doing live, you know. I'd just like to finish off this morning, Wammo, with a little poem which I wrote years ago, which mentions the pied stilt. It's a little poem I wrote, it's called For Kristen and Tom on a Stormy Morning. So that's my son Tom, who was then, this time of this poem, was just a young one, and Kristen, his mother. This is when we lived at Death's Corner, Pawatahanui, okay?
Great, let's hear it.
Last night the moon took one hell of a hiding, and then this morning on the headland, a colony of pied stilts, so delicate, so very timid, really, in the face of such a storm. In military formation, they stood it out, and no one budged or threatened them. Strength in numbers or some such joke, I don't know. What I do know, though, that when I clambered up home, my lady and baby both brought back to mind that battered moon, those small, brave birds in storm, so timid at the window, delicate and warm.
Nice one. Thanks, Sam.
That's a little poem for the weekend, and you have a good weekend, Wammo.
You too.